So we're gathered because we all know probably somebody who has mental health issues, deals with the affliction of depression or anxiety, bipolar. My brother-in-law has bipolar. My sister suffered from depression and attempted suicide. And so we all know somebody that has that part of their life. And so I think, and then knowing the incidence going higher and higher in our, just from the pandemic itself, and then with addiction. And that too being, so the third leading preventable cause of death in grown-ups is also for addiction. And drug overdose is the leading cause of death for those 23 to 67 years of age, drug overdose. So it's really, something that we should be paying attention to as a church. It's not something we should pretend isn't happening, because it's happening. And there really was a study that said that if people come to church once a month, it will make a difference in addiction and how they live with their addiction. So I come to this because I am a pastor in care ministries, and my previous life was a nurse. So it was really natural for me to think about the whole person. And I was first a cancer nurse, and then my husband went to seminary in the middle of me being a cancer nurse. And also in that time, then I got trained to be a parish nurse. So at the same time of being a cancer nurse, I also worked as the faith community nurse at the churches that he served. And eventually I worked at Lutheran Seminary for 10 years as their parish nurse. But in that was just sort of the care of the whole person, and just being aware of how much every part of how we are affects. So if I'm having problems with finances, it's going to affect how I feel emotionally, spiritually. So each of those, any part of our health will affect the whole part of ourselves. So I'm aware of that, and that, stands out for me. I also am married to a recovering addict. I met him when he was 4 years clean. And so now he's 35 years clean and sober. And so we've been together a long time. I started out going to Al-Anon when we were first together, but over time I stopped going to Al-Anon, and he kept going to his meetings. But yet life still fills up and gets hard. And so there are moments in our marriage and in our time is that it got harder for him, and his, anything can affect your addiction, can make you want to go back to it. So he had to enhance his recovery by counseling and doing more meetings. And I then turned also back to Al-Anon to find my support and also counseling. So this is just, an ongoing thing. And I know that it's not a one and done when it comes to addiction. And the whole family and system is affected by it. And then my husband is a parish pastor, and then just recently last year, retired from being parish pastor and began the Center for Addiction and Faith, and is now working towards having congregations learn how they can help in the area of addiction. So knowing all that and having that at my fingertips, it just seemed like this is the time to do this. And there's other resources now with mental health that we have available to us that we'll talk about in a little bit. What I've really appreciated is just the support from the staff and the pastors, and knowing that this is an important issue and they all want to be part of it, knowing it also affects all their areas of ministry. I mean, it's all the communities that Corla's in, it's all the communities that Lila's in, it's in with our youth. And so we're all on board to work on this together. And I just also really want to thank Bill and Chris and Melissa, and then Sheila McNeill, also, as we began last summer meeting together monthly, if not more often than that, to get this going. They also agreed to go through training for the addiction ministry. That was a lot of hours together on weekends. And so they're really invested in this. And this will be a part of Shepherd because of them, not because I wanted it started. It's because the Holy Spirit and this team of leaders that have taken this on. So Melissa is our lead in all of this. And so she will be guiding our meeting today. I'm just going to lift up what our mission statement is. And the mission of the mental health and addiction team is to support, encourage, and build community, embracing people living with addiction and or mental illness with open hearts, open minds, and an open table. So we'll start out with Chris going over our goals of the team and how our ministry might unfold. And then Bill will also, no, Chris is second. Bill and Melissa are first to go over our survey, which we took last November, was it? So
Yeah.
if I bring that forward to all of you. And then we'll close with questions and story. Everybody's going to share their story and why they're here. So it's going to be a nice gathering this morning. So thank you for being here. All right, Melissa, I'll let you guide our way.
Thank you.
Oh, you know what? I wanted to say a prayer, Melissa.
Yeah, let's do that.
So let us pray. Oh, gracious and loving God, we thank you for gathering us. Thank you for this opportunity to serve your people who are in need of your love and awareness of your grace. Help us and guide us and help us also to celebrate the gift of new life that comes through you. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you. I'm Melissa Zapp, and I am one of the team members kind of helping to facilitate and start working on this ministry. Pastor Karen, can we just also acknowledge the grant or the money that was given to help us access the training? Go ahead.
Yeah, we had a parishioner who his parents were actually charter members of Shepherd, and I visited his mother while she was in memory care, and visited a lot with his dad. So anyway, their son wanted to give us a gift of $5,000 to help and support mental health and addiction at Shepherd of the Lake. So it's really a gift that we have that too through them.
Yes.
It's the Rathmans, Jack, and it's the Rathmans.
Okay. And and I just want to acknowledge that because that really helped us access like the training that we did last fall with Faith Partners, which was incredibly valuable and is going to be an ongoing network that we're linked into with other congregations that are doing similar kind of work, transforming our faith communities into safe spaces to address both addiction and mental health stuff. So last fall in November, it seems like forever ago, although it wasn't terribly long ago, we sent out a survey to just get kind of an initial snapshot of how Shepherd of the Lake, our faith community, feels and what they know about these kind of general areas of mental health and addiction. So we're going to share just some of the results from that survey with you now. I'm going to try to share my slides here. Can you all give me a thumbs up if you're able to see? Yes, thank you. Thanks very much. So this first slide, question number 1, how important is it for the faith community to help those who may have problems with alcohol, drugs, or other addictions? The good news is that the response from the survey was really strong, in saying it was either somewhat important or very important that faith communities are involved in addressing this kind of work, which is encouraging. It means that we know that there's an openness to doing this kind of work and digging in. Move to the second one. Okay, so the survey bounced around to different areas, so we'll hit on a few of these, but this one is just asking, how confident are you about helping young people make good decisions about alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs? Kind of a mixed review, but overall pretty positive that it was at least important to do so. we have lots of kids and families in our faith community. And so we want to make sure that we're providing support and access to education and resources, skills and strategies so that they can build healthy habits about substance use and just maintaining mental health. This one, do you know who to go to in the congregation to get help for someone who has an alcohol, drug, or other addiction problem? The majority of respondents said no. That's part of why we're here. We want to make sure that we're connecting people to the appropriate resources. So if you have a concern about someone you care about, or if you yourself are thinking, I'm struggling and I need some help, we can get you to the right resources so we can get help. All right. Question 8, do you support our congregations offering education programs and other activities to raise awareness about, and we've got the whole gamut here, addiction, recovery, prevention, mental health. The good news is it's like green lights all the way around. So people are like, yes, let's do this. It's important. Let's get out there and dig in and continue the work around these important issues. Right. Question 10. So this is interesting. To what extent does our congregation, this faith community, reach out to people who suffer from addiction or addictions? A lot of people didn't know. And there were to some extent, that's part of why we're doing this as well. We want people to be aware of what's available in terms of resources, and also to make sure that Shepherd of the Lake is being proactive and intentional about being a safe place and addressing these, because this is real life stuff. These are things that affect people and families throughout our faith community and the surrounding community. So we're hoping that we can change these numbers around so that a lot more people are aware of what we can do as a congregation. We do host Al-Anon meetings at our building, and a variety of other like 12-step and support groups. But we know that there's still a big need, and we want to continue to fill that out, see how else we can be active and support the mental health and well-being of our congregation and community. All right, make sure I've got the right one. Okay, so this one's a little bit harder to read. See if I can zoom in for you. Question 11, to what extent does our congregation teach parents and concerned adults effective prevention strategies, such as how to talk to kids about alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs? To some extent, a lesser extent, and a lot of I don't know. So we, again, it just reveals like that this work is important, and we can do more to be intentional about our approach to mental health and addiction. To what extent does our congregation sponsor prevention programs and activities for youth? There's a lot of I don't know. So again, it just shows the need. I'm excited. This survey is really a snapshot, a beginning point. Bill, you are gonna take us into our next couple of questions.
Okay, thank you. My name is Bill Christian, and I've been a member of a proud member of Shepherd of the Lake for over 30 years. And I'm going to finish the survey. Question 17 was about the incidence of alcohol and drug problems. And 36% of our responders had a family member with an alcohol problem, and 16% had a family member with a drug problem. So these problems are extremely common and a challenge for society and for our congregation. Question 18, 28% had a family member in recovery from alcoholism, and 16% of our responders had a family member in recovery from drug addiction. So these are very common occurrences. Question 20, Melissa, is about mental health. 59% had a family member with a mental health issue. And when this survey was taken, it was undoubtedly aggravated by the COVID epidemic. Now, question 21 isn't on here, but it showed a 30% overlap between drug addiction and alcohol addiction. And in other words, if you were an alcoholic, there was a 30% chance of also a problem with drugs, and vice versa. Then going to question 26, this slide concerns the age distribution of the survey. So it was very even from age 35 to 65 and above, with essentially no responders under age 35. So we are considering a separate survey of our youth, and in the future, probably through the Living Water program. And lastly, question number 23 was, how ready are you personally to support our congregation's involvement in helping persons with addiction problems? 28% were very ready, and 36% were somewhat ready, which was extremely encouraging. This tells us that our members are willing to be educated in these problems, and that some members might be willing to serve on our task force and be part of the program in some manner. We especially want to appeal to people in recovery who would be willing to serve and help others. You can certainly remain anonymous if you want. If interested, we encourage you to call Pastor Karen or any of the members of the task force to serve. Our goal will be to educate, to lend an ear, and provide referrals, not to counsel. We will leave that up to others. And now Chris Gantz will discuss some of these goals with you. Chris?
All right, thanks, Bill. After we took the survey and had the survey results, as we got together, we needed to come up with some really important goals that we thought as a team that we should really start to focus on. And we came up with 3 main goals that you'll see here. And I guess the biggest thing that we wanted is to create a safe environment and have a conversation. We want people to know that addiction and mental health, it's okay. It's okay to discuss, and we really need to put it out there and discuss it, that there's a stigma that people have, and we want to get rid of that stigma, that it's a bad thing, that this is real. Addiction, mental health, it's real, and we want people to know it's not a character fault. And so we just really wanted to start this program to help people get the word out, pretty much. And so you can see that we're having, obviously, the meeting today. We also want to have an open dialogue of people getting in and out and talking about it. And then in September, we're planning to have a recovery worship service. Goal number 2 was obviously to provide support and connect people to the appropriate resources. And we have local resources. There's 12-step programs, support groups, there's therapy, things like that. And there's some websites for people to look at, go to if they need that help and support. The last one is increase awareness and educate and facilitate conversations with youth and families. We really felt this was such an important thing. As you can see from the result of the survey, most of the people taking the survey were older, but we also saw that there's a need we need to make sure we're getting the word out at a younger age also. And kids need to be educated, and people need to know, where do I go? Where can I go to get the support? And so we really want to collaborate and with the youth program and make sure that we're getting out to everybody in the church. So I think those are our goals and what we've set forth. And so we really want to go into next is talk about why the members of the team, the task force, why we're here. Why are we here and what brought us here? And so you're going to hear our stories. And I think who's first? Is it Bill? Or is it? Okay.
Yeah.
So Bill
I'm
back.
first.
Awesome.
As I said, my name is Bill Christian. I have been a member of Shepherd Lake for over 30 years. I am a retired family doctor. I have had both mental health problems and addiction in my family, and that is why I am anxious to serve on this task force and try to get help for others. I have often wished that somewhere along the line, especially when I was a kid, that there was someone I could have talked to about my father's alcoholism. But when I was a child, it was all swept under the rug. And it was before Al-Anon and Alateen were getting started. That tells you how old I am. My father was a binge alcoholic. We never had alcohol in the house. But about 4 or 5 times a year, he would go on these binges that lasted 3 days to a week. But in between, he was a good dad and everything would be normal, or so I thought, until I recently started to read some books on adult children of alcoholics. I now realize it wasn't normal. Then the youngest of my 3 daughters developed schizophrenia at age 19 and had to drop out of college. This was followed by psychiatrists, commitment, Anoka State Hospital, group homes for several years. But then the meds started working and she started getting better and is now leading a normal life. She works in food service at Johannes Shore's Presbyterian Homes in Arden Hills and loves it, and they love her. Interestingly, she had a son, my grandson, who graduated from West Point 2 years ago. So mental illness can be overcome with help. Then my oldest daughter was diagnosed with alcoholism about 10 years ago after many years of denial. She has her degree and a good job working for a biomedical company in California and is getting along well as long as she goes to her AA meetings. She's been sober about 3 years. But of course, her and the family's denials delayed treatment. The lesson is we have to face up to reality and get help. Hopefully, our program and others like it are going to help educate our people. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Melissa.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Bill.
Hmm.
So I've I come to this as someone who has some professional background in education. I've worked with kids. I've run an after-school program. I've taught preschool, and have really seen how social emotional learning is really critical for academic success, but also like just like living life, being able to do life well. But I also have, like my background experience is largely focused on that mental health piece. I have direct experience with depression and anxiety. I would say that I definitely have a genetic predisposition toward those things. People in my extended family have also experienced those challenges. But there's also, there's always environmental stressors and implications too. I guess the first thing I want to share is just kind of how, I guess, sort of how my journey started with this, with the depression and anxiety stuff. I was a sophomore in college, and I was a good student. I enjoyed school. Like, I wish I could be a perpetual student. If I didn't have student loans, I probably would be, right? But in my sophomore year of school, I started like during the winter and then into the spring months of that year, I started sleeping a lot, like 12 to 16 hours a day. I could barely drag myself out of bed to get to class. I just sort of felt numb. I felt like just like you're just doing one thing to the next, and really, really tired. Um, and it was affecting, my school performance and definitely my social life too. Because if you're sleeping all the time, you're not interacting with other people much, and it wasn't great. So I talked to my family. My parents were concerned, and so I went in for allergy testing because it's probably allergies, right? So anyway, I saw my family practitioner back home in Alexandria, where I grew up, and Dr. Bergstrand was amazing. I just remember this because it was really powerful. I was struggling, and I didn't really know why or what was going on. He ran some tests. I did get tested for allergies, and sure, I've got like some seasonal allergies that I deal with. But he sat down and he listened to me. He just asked me about kind of what was going on in my world and in my life for 45 minutes. I knew that he had other places to be, other people to see, but he took the time to listen to me and really find out what was going on. And at the end of our conversation, he said, I really think from what you're describing that what you're looking at right now is dealing with some depression issues. And it was really powerful, one, to have someone who had expertise and the care that he took, to listen to what was happening, and the kindness that that he showed, but also naming it. It was really powerful. And after that visit, I did get on some medication to support myself. And my journey since then, I think I was 19 when that happened. So in the last like 20 years, I've had, peaks and valleys. I've done a lot of different medications at different points, a lot of therapy. So building a lot of skills and strategies to manage my mental health. And I've done outpatient, programs a couple of times. But what I really come to, in terms of this team is I want people to know that they're not alone. You're not crazy, lazy, or stupid. You're not alone, and and there's hope. There's hope. So yeah, so that's where I'm at. So I hope, I love that all of our little team's background experiences are varied, but we're all coming to this with full hearts, because we know what matters. So Chris.
Thanks, Melissa. My name is Kristen Gratz. My husband and I have 4 kids. They range from 24, 20, 13, and 12. So we've kind of got the gamut there. What brings me here is our 24-year-old son has a substance abuse disorder. And Sam is the most caring and gentle kid that you would ever meet. And when he's using or he's binging, he's a totally different person. And so what really brought me here, so about 7 years ago, we've been dealing with this, and he's been in about 20 treatment facilities in and out. And he, as of right now, is in a sober living house, and he's working a job. But you know, as we all know, it's a day by day thing. And it really took me a long time to know that obviously I didn't cause his addiction. I can't control it, and obviously can't cure it. Wish we could, as parents, take any of that hurt, all those things away. So about 3 years ago, I came to the church and talked to some of the pastors and just wanted to have a place where parents could talk. And I know there's Al-Anon, and I know there's all these other programs, but I also wanted it to be out there that, again, substance abuse disorder does not define you. And that parents need to know that it's okay to talk about it, and that it's okay. It does not mean my husband and I are bad parents. It does not mean that my son is a bad kid. And we just need that to be out there. And people need to know that there is support, and that there are others that are just like you. And that's the reason that I came to this. Again, it's an everyday struggle for my son. It's an everyday struggle for my husband and I to have this going on, and then still be dealing with three other kids. You know, it's the 3 boys, and our youngest is a girl. And just want people to know that it's okay, and we're okay. I'm okay. We're getting through it. And so that's what brought me here.
Thanks so much, Chris. So we just want, whether you're with us live this morning or whether you're watching a replay of the Zoom, we just want to invite you, you know, if what we're saying has resonated with you in some way, and if you're interested in becoming more involved, either by being part of our team, the ministry team, or if you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of commitment, but if you're willing to support in some other kind of satellite role, please reach out to us so that we can get more stories woven together here, and we can provide the kind of support and effort toward this that it really deserves. If you need help, we've got resources we can connect you to. Please know that you're not alone. So, Pastor Karen.
Want to put that screen up, Melissa?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just the follow-up to everything. So thank you, team, for sharing. It's always just a gift to hear your story and your strength, and just knowing that you're willing to come into this with us. And thank you. So just to begin, first, all our team, pastors and leaders, such as John Holt, who is here. Thank you, John, for being here. Are people that you can reach out to or to let people know these are the people you can reach out to. And we want this to be known. We'll all hold some more extensive resources, and that might be on our website. We do have a support page that includes both grief groups and addiction and mental health resources. So it is a place to go, but it also will be a living document so that we can add things. I don't want it really to be an advertisement for treatment centers. That would probably be something that would be held for pastors to be referrals, and for John. And that's the phone number to the church office, and so just so it's known, these are the emails too to connect. the team really is going to be more visible, so that sometimes people just want to talk to a congregation member. I think, and Garrison Keeler would talk about how on Sunday morning people would have their family members go by with all their nice clothes and everybody looked prim and proper, but inside there was all these things going on. And I don't know that everybody goes to pastors or church leaders. So I think knowing that there's congregational members that are open to this is going to be instrumental to this ministry. So one of the things we are connecting to is Mental Health Connect. It is a nonprofit that comes out of Bethlehem Lutheran Church in Minneapolis. It began it probably got started by a parish nurse, and just knowing how much goes on around mental health, she and a couple other congregations, that church got a grant and began this nonprofit Mental Health Connect. And with this, they have somebody called a navigator who will, if somebody wants some resources or help to find help, they have a navigator that will help make that happen. So we are now a congregational member because of that grant. We are a congregational member of this Mental Health Connect. So this nonprofit now has, 20 congregations that all over the metro that are part of this Mental Health Connect. And so all of us are using this nonprofit to help their members find places to go. So it's a great resource. It also provides for us education around mental health. And so we'll have leaders from our team. Melissa has agreed to be one of our ambassadors to go and then be educated through a month. They have to go to a monthly meeting. And these are things also we can bring back to our congregation. So we'll be seeing some webinars that will come from Mental Health Connect that will be offered for our congregation that you can watch. There'll be opportunities that we'll learn from this nonprofit. So it's going to be a great resource for us. And then the Center of Addiction and Faith also is a really good website in that understanding how our faith can help in the recovery of addiction, but also resources and education on addiction. And so there's been many webinars, actually monthly since last summer, on different areas of addiction and race. They had a couple on that. Different thought processes around why we become addicted has been on webinars. These are all stored on the website, so you can watch those if you want to. They also have podcasts that are really interesting to listen to be more educated. It's all about being educated and then also feel supported. So this is going to be a good resource for us as well. This coming next week is on youth and addiction. So that will be a good webinar for us. And then we have a couple other resources on our website that will be the National Suicide and NAMI. So that, I think, covers our resources. What is under there?
Oh, the ending with the Serenity Prayer. I did want to just say quickly, to add on to what you mentioned about the Center of Addiction and Faith, they have an app. So if you find yourself, I'm in the car a lot, I drive a lot. So sometimes if I'm driving for 40 minutes, I will click the app, pull up one of those webinars or chats and just listen. It's really accessible, and it's great to have it just kind of right at your fingertips.
It is the easiest app to use. It's just like you just see the whole thing on front and you tap it and you have it.
You have it.
Really, I have to say, my husband actually did that. It's like the most simple app I've ever seen. So
yeah, it's awesome. Really well done.
Yeah.
Before we close, does anyone, first of all, thank you again for being here and being with us. Does anyone have any questions or things that they wanted to ask for clarification about that we've discussed? If not, then again, we just want to reiterate the invitation to have you join us in this work. Whether you're praying about this ministry or you want to get involved in planning and be part of the team, or support in some other way, reach out, let us know. We would love to have you join us, and we're just really excited to see how God is going to use this ministry and do some healing and good work. If we may,
Thank you, Melissa.
yeah. Should we close with the Serenity Prayer?
Yes, let's do that.
I can put it up on the screen. I don't know if everyone knows it.
You can lead it, Melissa, and we can stay muted and I'll say it together.
Okay, sure. All right. God, grant me
Give me
the serenity
serenity
to accept
the things
I cannot
that
change,
change.
courage
Courage to
to change
change
the things I
things
can,
I can, and wisdom
to know
of
the
the
difference.
difference. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody, for being here, and have a blessed day.